It feels pretty lonely when it seems like your partner doesn't understand you. And the less you feel understood, the more it can feel really difficult to truly speak vulnerably with your partner. So in this video, I'm going to break down how to express yourself effectively so that your partner can finally understand you. Sometimes navigating conversations can feel like being trapped in a maze, just constantly turning back and forth, trying to find the right way to get your partner to understand what you're trying to say. And the worst part is that the more you try, the less your partner seems to hear what you're actually saying. And over time, it becomes really difficult to feel like you can actually open up to them because you worry that they're going to dismiss you, ignore you, or misunderstand what you're saying again. And over time, these struggles of expression can build up into 3 separate stages. And when we struggle to express ourselves, we can cycle through these 3 stages. The first stage is the Gordian knot. The next one is called the sealed box. And then thirdly, we have the emotional fire hose. So let's break these down one by one. So stage 1 is what we call the Gordian knot. And this is where we try to express ourselves in the first gut way that it comes out. And this is where things start off. It's where you feel unable to describe the complexity of the problem. We get our words wrong. We try to describe actions rather than emotions. And if we do describe emotions, we blame them on our partner. We twist everything around and it comes out really terribly. We call this the Gordian knot because our words are tangled. We really struggle to express clearly and coherently exactly what we're feeling. This first stage is usually where our partner reacts in a kind of WTF kind of way, like where they're trying to understand what was said, but they don't even know where to start. And then we can feel embarrassed, invalidated, stupid even for expressing ourselves. And then from that, we progress onto stage 2, which is what we call the sealed box. So this is where we kind of climb up and we expect our partner to mind read what we're feeling, right? So we keep everything inside and get upset that they're not hearing the words that we are not saying, right? We sit in silence. We think that we've said everything that we need to say in stage 1, so we feel like our partner should know. And we get more and more annoyed and we seal the box tighter and tighter. And when a partner does try to understand us, we refuse to let them know how we're feeling, either by actively telling them that they should already know or by passively telling them that we are fine and everything's okay and they don't need to worry about it. And then after a while of being this sealed box, this leads to stage 3, which is the emotional fire hose. And this is where we word vomit every possible feeling out. Every single emotion, every grievance, every past event that we didn't mention for 14 years. The fire hose doesn't stop until every last possible emotion has broken free and there's nothing left in the pipe. This is the kind of you want the truth, you can't handle the truth, where all the hurt, anger, pain, sadness, disappointment, and regret comes out all at once, blindsiding your partner and knocking them off their feet. And these 3 stages can happen in cycles. We go up, down, up, down, up, down. And these cycles in themselves cause your partner to start expressing themselves in the same way because they don't feel comfortable being able to talk with you because of the potential one of these 3 ways happening. We get trapped either in this Gordian knot, in this sealed box, or in this emotional fire hose. And this communication deadlock can leave us feeling isolated and misunderstood in our own relationship with the person that is supposed to understand us the most. And trust me, I've been there and it's not a fun place to be. But there are ways out of this. And this is where we learn to be vulnerable. But oftentimes we can misunderstand what vulnerable means. You know, a lot of us can express ourselves in the 3 ways that we mentioned before and think that we're being open and honest, but we're actually falling into pitfalls that make our partners feel even more distant. We can oftentimes look at the emotional fire hose, for example, and say, I was vulnerable then. I was vulnerable when I expressed myself in that way. If you've been struggling to open up and connect with your partner, it could be that you're falling into this cycle of these stages without even realizing it. Many of us misunderstand what true vulnerability really means. We might feel like it's being fragile or overly emotional, when in reality, it's about having the courage to be our authentic selves with our partners, but in a controlled manner. Just having a small shift in our approach can make a huge difference. So how do we start shifting from unlearning these habits into embracing true vulnerability, but in a controlled manner? Well, learning to be vulnerable is kind of like learning a new language. You need the right tools and techniques to express yourself effectively. So let's unpack this vulnerability toolkit and see how it can transform your relationship. The first step is to take accountability for your opinions, for your feelings, and for your actions. So everything that you say, do, feel, hear is all based on your own interpretation. So instead of saying, you never listen to me, to your partner, you can say something like, I feel unheard when we talk. You see, there's a big difference there. One of them is blaming your partner and taking no accountability. The second is actually taking accountability for your feelings, your perspective, and your interpretation of the situation. This is where you're expressing your emotions without placing blame externally. So taking accountability is one of the very first steps in being able to open up and being vulnerable in the right way. Now, another thing to remember is to start asking for permission before diving into deep conversations. Now, this may sound a little bit formal, but getting into this habit means that you actually become a lot more deliberate and conscious about when you speak about certain things. So instead of ambushing your partner with heavy topics, try something along the lines of, hey, I have something important that I'd really like to discuss. Is now a good time? Or maybe we could speak about it later on. This simple step can make your partner more receptive to what you have to say and help you to be able to prepare yourself emotionally and guide your words in the right way. And just before I start on the next point, if you do want more videos like this, then feel free to subscribe to the channel for new videos every single week. Another way to express yourself in a vulnerable way is to be able to frame any ideas as questions. So instead of saying, we need to go to couples therapy, you can say, hey, what do you feel about trying couples therapy? As an example. This approach turns any statement into a dialogue, inviting your partner to share their thoughts and feelings. Next, it's important to make sure that you are only addressing one subject at a time. So rather than coming in with this Gordian knot of ideas, taking the time to find one specific point and maybe one or two subpoints to that point so that you can express it in a clear, concise way. This means that you'll be able to get through your thoughts and feelings in an effective way and not overwhelm your partner with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different subjects, right? Planning a crucial conversation with a main point and 1 or 2 smaller subpoints will help you to be able to keep the conversation on topic. And that is especially helpful if you're a fellow ADHDer, being able to be clear and concise with your feelings rather than overwhelming your partner and, coming out with the emotional fire hose. Next, it's important to manage your partner's expectations. So before expressing any feelings that you have, it can be helpful to add a little sort of caveat to let your partner know that you're feeling a little bit unsure about this and that you're not 100% sure on how exactly you want to express this. So for example, you could say, hey, I'm not sure I'm going to express this perfectly, but I want to just share kind of what's on my mind. I'm not 100% certain that this is going to come out in the right way, but I kind of wanted to just speak to you about a certain topic right now. This kind of sets the stage for a more understanding conversation. Remember that vulnerability isn't just about sharing your ideas and your feelings, it's also about expressing your worries. So trying something like, I'm worried that you might misunderstand what I'm about to say, but I'm really trying to figure this out and get through this together. So I may stumble a little bit, but help me along a little bit here. This approach fosters a supportive environment and helps your partner to understand where you're coming from. And most importantly, you can actively craft a safe space for vulnerability. So it's not just about physical safety, it's about this emotional safety too. So learning to bring up difficult topics in a non-threatening way helps you to build emotional safety for yourself. So if you're approaching conversations in a soft, calm manner, then this will actually help build the emotional safety for your partner to respond in a safe manner in the same way. And over time, this builds this emotional safety and this patience between you so that you have the space to be able to express your feelings in a calm and vulnerable way. And you also generate that emotional safety for your partner to do the same. And this means that if your partner isn't ready to talk about a subject, respect that and try again later. So next time you're feeling misunderstood, in order to help your partner understand you, it's important to be proactive about generating the emotional safety and being able to express yourself in the right way. And yes, these tools are helpful, but it's really important to have the right mindset going into all of these conversations. So all the techniques in the world won't help you if your head's not in the right space. So how do we cultivate a vulnerability-friendly mindset? Well, it's important to understand that all relationships will always have discords, right? You are two separate people. So there are two types of discords. There are emotional ones and logical ones. And this may sound a little bit pessimistic, but hear me out. When we expect our relationships to be problem-free, we set ourselves up for disappointment. So instead of trying to avoid having issues, it's all about focusing how you communicate about these issues. And I would love to go into full detail in these YouTube videos, but there's only so much detail that I can touch on. So if you do want a deeper dive, then these communication skills are what I work on with my successful Ultra Normal members. And if you want to join us, then sign up for the free relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same steps to start turning your relationship around today. Click on the link in the description to grab your spot. The difference between a good relationship and a bad relationship is not about the issues you have, it's about how you communicate about it. So instead of panicking when a discord arises, see them as an opportunity to strengthen your bond. These discords are perfect opportunities to cultivate the compatibility between you both. And this happens through effective communication. And of course, when it comes to communication, it's important to make sure that you're mastering your emotions. If you master your emotions during conversations, then you'll master your relationship. And if you do want a deeper dive into that, then I will leave you with this video right here. I'll see you over there.